Hey, how's it going? Great to see you. Now, a couple of weeks ago I ordered something off AliExpress. It's this little box here. It's a great little box and it contains something that's even cooler. It's got some filters in it, especially for the GoPro 9. As you can see, it's from Telesin, who make quite cool filters. It's got a CPL filter, an ND8 filter, an ND16 and an ND32. Now, CPL is circular polarized lens and ND is neutral density. What do those mean? Well, a circular polarized lens is one that only lets light through that's coming in on a particular angle. That's basically a polarizing filter. If you don't know what polarized light is, we can go into that in another tutorial or something that's special. What it does, what is really cool, it partly reduces the amount of light coming into your lens, but mostly from reflected surfaces. So if you're shooting a piece of glass, for example, the light that bounces or reflects off glass becomes polarized. Natural sunlight is on all sorts of angles all over the place, but when it bounces off a glass surface, the light that comes back is only the light that's going in a certain direction, so it makes sure that all the waves are going the same way. A polarizing filter, if you've got it off axis from that light, it stops that from coming through and it only lets through light that's on a certain angle. What that means is that if you put a CPL filter onto a camera lens and you're shooting something that's got reflected light coming off the glass, it blocks the reflected light so you can actually see through the glass more clearly. How cool is that? The other three filters in here are the ND8, the ND16 and the ND32. Now this ND stands for neutral density, and that's a fancy term for saying it reduces the amount of light coming in and hitting the sensor in your camera. What that means is that if you're shooting into somewhere that's got really bright light, say into a background that's got overcast clouds and that sort of thing, where you might normally see that just turns solid white and it's really unusable, it reduces all of the light coming in, so suddenly you can see all the texture and everything in those clouds. Now it does reduce all of the light coming in, so shadows are reduced as well, but not as much as the highlights. Effectively, this means that you can bring the shadows up a bit in your footage, in your final edit, and bring the highlights down a little bit, and you've got nice colour and texture at both ends of the spectrum. It's kind of like the old school version of high dynamic range, but you can use an ND filter basically to stop your footage from getting blown out and crushed, and you can have lots of nice texture even on a small lens and a small aperture and sensor like on the GoPro. One other thing I'd like to mention is that from a practical perspective, these are very easy to use. With a lot of GoPro filters, you need to like twist this thing off here and put the other one on, and that often needs a bit of a tool or a bit of time to do it or something like that. These ones here though are designed just to fit very smoothly straight over the top of the existing GoPro lens that you've got on here. That means it'll also fit over the macro lens or the ultra wide angle one, I believe, as well, and just comes straight off, goes straight on, very easy. They're not going to move, they're not going to fall off or anything, so very practical, very quick to use, easy to put on and easy to take off again and put away back into the storage box when you're not using it. So there you go. As you can see, these filters seem to do a pretty good job. I'm really happy with them. Now the whole thing cost me about $20. That's a brilliant price for what you're getting out of here. You can get professional, really top-end filters that do actually quite a bit better job than this, but they're about 10 times the price. So if you're on a budget and you want to play with filters like this, this is a fantastic set to get started with. And it arrived within a week. It comes in great packaging. It's pretty good quality glass, and there's no defects or anything I can see in them, and they do the job quite nicely, as you've seen in the footage that we've just been looking at. So if you want to have a go and see how these things can work for yourself, then have a look in the links below in the descriptions. I've got a link to these on AliExpress. They take about a week or 2 weeks to ship most places in the world, so go and grab a set and enjoy them, and post a link or something to where they are below so that I can see them, or share them with me on Instagram, that sort of thing. I'd love to see what you do with these and compare before and after photos. Anyway, I hope this has been useful to you. If it has, click down here and subscribe, because I make lots more of these videos. And speaking of other videos, check this one out and check this one out, because YouTube picked them just for you. That's what YouTube does, and they do a really good job of it. And I'll see you in another one in a couple of days.